Please be advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media users found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings.
Hey guys, Taz here. I'm back. Sorry, I just had a little bit of time out, as I do occasionally, so I do apologise my video wasn't out on Sunday. As you can see, I have actually been one of the few to get into the hairdressers. I was a bit shocked because I got so used to having my roots. I was kind of like, I look like Draco Malfoy. But I'm getting used to it now, and I've got like the lilac going through it again. I've tried a different brand this time. This one's it's a metallic brand. It's supposed to be like steel. I quite like it though. It's very shiny. My husband managed to get his hair cut as well, and he was beginning to look like the wild man of Borneo. I think there's probably a lot of relieved people over the UK that the first thing they did was go get a haircut. So anyway, moving on with the video, this is going to be a purely Harry and Meghan video, just because there has been so much in the last week and a half. It always happens, doesn't it? When I take time out, the newspapers just go boom. So what have they been up to? Firstly, Meghan won an award. Edward Enninful won Consumer Editor of the Year for the September issue of Vogue, which Meghan guest edited. She also won an awards for Diversity Initiative. I don't know who these people are that vote on this, but I just personally think they were called out on social media when it was clearly obvious that Meghan had plagiarised not just the cover of this book, but the concept of the books and even the blurb, you know, when they put out the kind of the bit that gets released to the media. First people picked up it on social media, then the actual newspapers picked up on it. So the authors that worked on the original Australian book are a Samantha Brett and a Steph Adams, and they featured Meghan as one of their game changers. So that's really not cool in any way, shape or form. I mean, they've invited her to be one of the game-changing women on the front cover of their book. Bearing in mind, she was only in Suits, so she, you know, she's up and coming still, but would you even go that far? But then she's completely stolen their book, even the press release. Okay, so the Vogue blurb actually says, the trailblazing change makers united by fearlessness, right? So that was Meghan's bit. And the original book, the Game Changers, said, fearless trailblazing women who were changing the world. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting, as I said, that the media have released the fact that it was completely stolen concept, yet this has still gone on to get awards. There are awards that I've not heard of, but I think Vogue should have been completely called out on that, or Meghan at the very least should have been called out on it more. So the famous five are back in the news again. No, not Enid Blyton's famous book, The Famous Five, but the infamous five, the five friends that Meghan had that all went behind her back. Meghan has confirmed in papers the names, which is still completely confidential, but I'm going to give you my guesses in a moment. And I just can't understand the logic behind this. What she's basically confirmed is five of these friends all read her dad's letter. Bearing in mind it was quite a long letter as well. It reminds me of Rachel and Ross, where she's like, when he fell asleep, when he was trying to read that letter front to back. So I don't know if she handed out copies to them as they left. You know, here's a private letter, a really personal, heartfelt letter I'm going to send to my father. Have a copy. Because it's very strange, isn't it, that all of these five friends then went on several months later to memorise the letter. These five friends were so concerned about Meghan not being able to speak up for herself that they all individually, after reading this letter and memorising the letter, all went to People magazine and then anonymously spoke about the letter in great length. Now, I've got a number of questions here. Firstly, what are the chances that five people she knew all memorised the entire contents of that letter? What are also the chances that they memorised every single bit of that letter and then went individually, separately, at separate times, all to the same magazine to speak out for their friend without her knowledge? How is it that Meghan knows who these five friends are if they all went to People magazine privately and in secrecy, Meghan's favourite word? Did they all just suddenly confess to her and just be, oh, I'm so sorry, it was me, please forgive us? Why is she not suing these particular friends for breach of privacy? Why is she not suing People magazine for breach of privacy? You know, these are all very, very basic questions that just, I don't know, this court case just seems verging on ridiculous now. So my opinions on who these are, the long-term friend was either going to be Lindsay Jill Roth, who she, you know, posed famously with topless pictures on when they went on a really classy girls' holiday, or it's more likely going to be Jessica Maroney, because at the time she would be willing to stick her neck out on the line and probably just lie for Meghan and say whatever Meghan said. Probably not so much these days since Meghan's dropped her like a hot potato. The close confidant. I'm going to say the crime makeup artist. That would be my guess. It's not a friend, it's a confidant. And that is, you know, you sit there, you have your hair and your makeup done. So him, definitely. Daniel Martin, the crime makeup artist. A former co-star, I would say Abigail Spencer. She was in Suits with Meghan, and she also spoke up about Meghan being in Canada, if you remember, which she was apparently out on one of the walks with Archie, but it kind of got squashed that it was all a bit of a fat porky pie to mislead everyone because they were actually in LA. So she's also not afraid of sticking her neck on the line to retain a friendship with Meghan. A friend from LA, I would go with Heather Dorak. Not well known, but she is the Pilates teacher that Meghan was seen filmed picking up from the airport, you know, with some more paparazzi shots. And she was also a friend of hers that they've done some, you know, silly sort of typical Instagram yoga poses with. She's not that well known. She's not famous as far as I'm aware in her own right. Maybe she is well known as a Pilates instructor in LA. But again, this is someone that could probably do with having their name put in the headlines because it will help her business. And then a one-time colleague, I rattled my brain about this, and the only one that I can think of was Max Toplin. He was in Suits as well, but he was only in, I think, 17 episodes. Now, the reason why I think him is because he has openly spoken out on Meghan's behalf before. He was the one that technically threw Meghan under the bus, that Harry and her had met in Toronto at the Invictus Games, and they were together when she was still with Corey. So maybe he's got some making up to do. I mean, these are all just my guesses, guys, so you can have like the theories on your own. I don't think Serena Williams for a star, I really don't, just because she's too media PR savvy. She's got her own reputation to uphold, and she'd be sensible enough to know that Meghan is getting them to go to a newspaper to release excerpts of this private letter that she sent. Serena is not daft, and I really am thinking that friendship might be over, as I've said before, after the way Meghan behaved with Alexis at the US Opens. So the other thing is as well, these 5 friends, you know, I don't know how happy they're going to be about the fact that they've now been named. It might have obviously just been done as a way to get her dad, and now it's all blown up and Meghan's so stubborn that she's not dropping it. But how are they going to feel? This is their careers and their reputation. If they get called, they're going to have to literally be on a stand, and whether it's the truth or it's a lie, they've got to say that Meghan at one point shared private information with me. She disclosed as my deep friend, my confidant, a personal letter, heartfelt letter that she'd written to her father, and she discussed with me, you know, and let me read it to see what I thought on it. I then decided that I'm such a good friend. I went to People magazine and told the story behind her back without her knowledge, to help her get her point of view across because she was being unfairly treated. And it's ludicrous. So they're going to look, I mean, are they going to be willing to do that on stands? Because you're basically saying that you're a complete jerk, really. I mean, it's not going to do their reputations any good, and the Sussex squad will go after them if they think that they, you know, their deity has been hurt or betrayed. I mean, look at the way that they've attacked everyone. It's like a little band of flying monkeys. They will be out in force. So to top all of this off, Meghan has also been using this court case, bearing in mind it's a privacy court case against Associated News, for sharing her dad's letter, Markle v Markle, but she has been using the court papers to air grievances. She's fired several warning shots across the bow of basically the front of the monarchy. She's turned around and said again that she wasn't protected in her pregnancy. I don't know if she expected a team of men to carry her high up on a throne all day long, you know, hold her up in the air and stuff. I don't understand how much more protection this woman needed. She didn't listen to any of the Buckingham Palace team. She fired all of her staff. She insisted on using her own PR companies, and then to turn around and say that she wasn't protected. And as it comes out, a lot of the stories that she actually wanted stopped were the true ones. How can you kick off and say that my press team or the Buckingham Palace press team didn't stop true stories about my bad behaviour coming out? Yeah, they're not meant to lie for you. They're there to squash, you know, any unfair stories that, you know, and help you prove that that's not wrong, or it's just no comment. Don't add fuel to the fire. A lot of the stuff that came out about Meghan, she could have shut down in the beginning, but she didn't, and that's because it played into her victim narrative. I truly believe that she gets off on it. Good press, bad press, she's in the press. This is the fame she wants, and she doesn't seem to be grasping that the fact that the people that originally supported her and fell for the victim narrative is a steadily shrinking pool. I'd say she's probably down to a paddling pool if she's lucky right now. She's also had the cheek to drag Harry's cousins and in fact the Queen's cousin into the papers as well. She had complained that she wasn't allowed to go off and earn her own money despite other members of the royal family being able to. Well, you've got Princess Eugenie and Beatrice and Prince Michael of Kent that have been named. They don't take money from the public purse. They have their own jobs. I mean, the York princesses have worked, and I know that some people lay into them, and I'm sorry, but they've done a lot more work than what Meghan and Harry did as full-time members of the working royal family. At least when you see them going to charities, they're not earning wages from it. And this is the biggest problem. Meghan wanted everything that royalty gave her, but then she wanted to earn her own money on top. How greedy can one person be? Her obsession with wealth and money it's grotesque, isn't it? Being a full-time member of the royal family, she would want for nothing. She gets to go to palaces, luxury holidays. She's got security. They write everything off as expenses. She wants for nothing a team of staff, mansions. You know, the fact that she renovated that place for £2.4 million with no intention to ever live in it long term. Yet she still wanted to earn more money. She literally had a life of pure luxury and doing bugger all for it. Wasn't it like 72 engagements in total? It's absolutely unbelievable, as I said, that anyone could be this greedy. But there is a reason for it. The reason why she wanted to earn her own money is because of divorce. She wants her own assets, her own little foundation set up, or companies or whatever. So when she does kick Harry to the curb, and this will happen, it's not if, it's when, then she can get half. There's probably a reason why she was so insistent to move back to LA. Bearing in mind she hadn't lived there for 10 years herself. She was living in Canada. So speaking of money again, the other outlandish unbelievable thing that Meghan came out with was she said that the UK economy benefited by £1 billion for her wedding. First up, it's been completely squashed by money experts that have turned around and said the wedding probably raised about 300 million, but that you'd even have to rope in clothing and knickknacks, and most of that, I don't know if you guys noticed or remembered or saw in the shops, but most of Harry and Meghan's stuff did not sell out, and it was in the bargain bins within weeks. Also, it was the FA Cup final on the day of their wedding, which means that all of the hotels in London would have been booked up anyway. You know, lots of people were going to the pubs and stuff like that. They probably had a bigger crowd up there. And their wedding actually cost more than Catherine and William's, you know, the future monarchs. You can't make this stuff up. She spent £50,000 on this cake. £50,000, more than the deposit that my husband and I put down to purchase our house. A cake. I mean, it must be a reincarnation of Mary Antoinette, shouldn't she? You know, let them eat cake. £50,000. But even then, when you think of Mary Antoinette, she was born into wealth and privilege, and she was a young child when she got executed. But she's got no sense of self-awareness or gratitude for anything or anyone. So I guess the royal family weren't going to be any different. Her wedding raised £1 billion. Meghan, love, you need to get down off that high horse, because Harry could have married Mrs. Mop and there still would have been a crowd. People were there because Harry is Diana's son. It didn't matter who he was marrying. And the more that we found out about Meghan in the run-up to the wedding and how cold and callous she could be, the less people really wanted Harry to marry her, because they could see the disaster which is still looming. I absolutely cannot blame Meghan 100%. I think Harry's enabled her, but not just Harry. I think the royal family have enabled Meghan. They have enabled these two to behave the way that they have because no one has stopped them. And I love having a monarchy. Yes, I do think it needs slimming down, which, you know, gradually it has been. But the way that it seems that Charles and the Queen have enabled Harry and Meghan to continue on this path and not pulled them up on anything, not publicly. They've already broken their terms of Megxit. You know, Meghan's still throwing around the HRA. They're still being called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which means that they are still using their royal connections. Yet here they are in the press daily, firing more and more mudslinging shots at the royal family, accusing them of stuff. And the longer that the Queen and Charles do nothing, the more that people are going to be like, well, if they're enabling it, that means that they support it. And if they support this sort of behaviour, then why on earth would we want the monarchy to continue past the Queen? And every single day that they appear doing more woke speeches, preaching to the masses from their white ivory privileged tower, the more people are beginning to really, really despair and really dislike them. I mean, it's obvious to me that Meghan is using the privacy court case to basically to attack the royal family. The reason why she's doing that is she can't directly give an interview to the press or to the media because she will get in serious trouble. But what she's doing is if she airs the grievances that have nothing to do with the privacy court case and puts that in her court papers, the media have access to it, the media run stories on it. She's found the loophole how to use the court system to air and throw mud at the royal family. The days for never complain, never explain are well and truly over. It's about time that someone actually cut these two off properly. They don't deserve to have the Sussex dukedom as far as I'm concerned. I don't want my county being tarnished with their name, thank you very much, and I don't like our royal family being tarnished with their names. They've become a worldwide laughingstock. But that is, as always, just my personal opinion. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of my theories of the 5 friends. What are your theories? Do you think I've missed out someone? So I'll be back with you guys very, very soon with another video. Take care.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typist, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.